Have you ever wondered why aging feels so scary? Why we fear living a long life, but not living it well? Why do we speak of childhood and adulthood with respect, but talk about old age like it's a life sentence? My name is Dr. Hale. I've worked with patients facing dementia and other age-related changes, and I've always seen more than just the diagnosis. I've seen real lives, real stories. Today, I'd like to invite you on a unique journey through the book Elderhood by Louise Aronson. This book challenges the way we think. It shows us that getting older isn't the end, it's the start of something new. This isn't just a book review. It's a real, heartfelt conversation, filled with stories, examples, and insights. We'll talk about medicine, family, the human spirit, the things that truly matter, but rarely get discussed. And even if you've never heard of this book, I promise, you're going to find it fascinating. And if you have heard of it, you're about to see it in a whole new light. This isn't about theory. It's about real life, and you'll learn things you can start using today. By the end, you'll walk away with practical tools and ideas that actually work. So if you're someone who wants to live a long, thoughtful, fulfilling life, go ahead and hit that like button, and let's get started. So what is elderhood? It's more than just a word. It's a whole new way of thinking about the later chapters of life. We've been taught that life breaks down into childhood, adulthood, and then, that's it. As if everything after that is just waiting around for the end. But that's not how it has to be. Elderhood is a real, meaningful, and valuable stage of life. It's a time when we've gained deep wisdom, and yet we're still capable of learning, growing, and evolving. This isn't about decline. It's about maturity, in the best sense of the word. The author of Elderhood reminds us, aging isn't a disease. It's a natural, normal part of life. And it can be vibrant, rich, and even deeply inspiring, if we choose to live it that way. We don't fade away when we retire. We unfold in new ways. In later life, we can offer guidance, share stories, and truly feel like we still matter, because we do. It's a time to finally be ourselves, without the rush, without the pressure. In my years of medical practice, I've seen it firsthand. Older adults can be strong, full of spirit, and deeply in love with life. But too often, society doesn't see that. It looks through age instead of at it. Elderhood brings back that sense of respect. It says, you matter. You have value. You are still needed. This isn't about going backward. It's about moving forward, just at a different pace. Maybe the real problem is that we've been looking at aging the wrong way. And maybe, just maybe, if we shift our perspective, old age itself can start to feel different. There was a time when growing old was seen as a blessing. In many ancient cultures, elders were the wise ones. People turned to them like living libraries, sources of truth, tradition, and guidance. They settled disputes, taught the young, and kept communities grounded. Their words carried real weight. But over time, things changed. In the industrial age, society began to value speed and productivity above all else. And aging? It started to be seen as slow, weak, and unnecessary. Older adults were no longer viewed as treasures, but as burdens. Yes, modern medicine found ways to extend life, especially in the 20th century, but it didn't always make that life better. Aging lost its honor. It became something people dreaded or even felt ashamed of. In advertising, film, and media, older people were either invisible or turned into punchlines. Our culture of youth pushed aside the culture of experience. But if we take a step back and look at the past, we see a different story. In those older traditions, aging wasn't weakness, it was strength. You see it in Eastern philosophy. You see it in the wisdom passed down in rural communities. Elders held families together. They preserved knowledge. They passed it on. Now, we're living longer than ever, but have we forgotten why we're living past 70? Maybe it's time to bring back that lost sense of respect for later life. And maybe, just maybe, the past holds the key to aging with dignity. Modern medicine is amazing. It can save lives, treat disease, and pull off what sometimes feels like miracles. But when it comes to aging, that's where things start to get a little messy. Too often, doctors look at older adults as a collection of diagnoses. Every ache, every change is treated like an alarm bell, something that needs a pill, a test, or even surgery. But aging isn't an illness. It's a natural process. It's not something that needs to be cured. And the truth is, a lot of the medications we give to older adults don't actually help them live better. They sometimes make things harder. There are tons of tests, appointments, and procedures, but not nearly enough real human attention. A doctor might prescribe a treatment, but forget to ask the most important question: how are you actually feeling? Patients get bounced from one specialist to another, but no one steps back to see the whole person. It's like trying to fix an old house one brick at a time without ever seeing the home inside. Because an older person isn't just a list of blood pressure readings and lab results. They're a whole story full of emotions, memories, and fears. And too often, older patients are treated like children. They don't get choices. Things aren't explained. No one asks. They're just told. But here's the truth. Older adults don't just want to live longer. They want to live better. Medicine has to remember, aging adults are still grown-ups. They deserve dignity and respect. So how do we make care not just clinically correct, but truly compassionate? A lot of people think old age means the end of anything exciting or meaningful. As if once you hit a certain age, you're not allowed to dream, or fall in love, or change. That idea is everywhere. You see it in movies, in commercials, even in casual conversation. But it's simply not true. Aging doesn't make us less. It just makes us different. With age comes something we didn't have before: depth, patience, perspective. Sure, the body might tire more quickly, but the soul? It grows stronger. Plenty of people discover who they really are after 60, through hobbies, through connection, through meaningful work. Getting older doesn't limit us. What limits us are other people's assumptions and our own fears. When someone says, "You can't do that anymore," they're not really talking about your body. They're talking about belief. But science tells a different story. Research shows the brain can keep growing well into old age. Emotional intelligence gets sharper. Our ability to reflect and find meaning improves. And many of the so-called age-related diseases, they're often more about lifestyle than age itself. A person doesn't become less valuable because they've got wrinkles. In fact, they often become more themselves. No more pretending, no more pressure to perform. The stereotypes? They're real, but they're not permanent. And we can break them. What if science is already showing us that aging isn't the end of the road? It's the beginning of something new. Aging is as natural as the changing of the seasons. As we get older, our bodies change, and that's okay. That doesn't mean you're sick. Your skin gets thinner. Your bones may be a little more fragile. Your eyesight might not be what it once was. But none of that is something to fear. It simply means your body has lived a full and meaningful life. Sometimes people get scared by things like forgetfulness, weakness, or ringing in the ears. They start thinking something's broken. But the truth is, a lot of those changes aren't diseases. They're just part of normal aging. What matters is knowing the difference between what's simply age and what's a real warning sign. Feeling tired after a walk? That's not a red flag. It's your body asking for a little rest. Maybe your heart skips a beat now and then, or your joints make a little more noise. That doesn't always mean danger. When we understand what's happening in our bodies, fear starts to fade. The key isn't to ignore your body, but to listen to it, to care for it. Yes, there are symptoms that need a doctor's attention, but there's no need to panic at every little change. Aging doesn't take away our value. It simply reshapes it. Sure, your body may not be as fast as it used to be, but it can still be strong, steady, and dependable. And when you treat it with care and kindness, it often rewards you with a longer, fuller life. So the real question becomes, how do we help the body stay strong and vibrant for as long as possible? A lot of people, as they get older, start forgetting little things like names or where they put their glasses. And right away, they worry, is this the start of dementia? But the truth is, small lapses in memory are a normal part of aging. Just like the body, the brain slows down a bit over time, but it doesn't lose its power. You might notice it takes a little longer to find the right word. Or maybe multitasking feels harder than it used to. That's okay. You're still you. You still recognize loved ones, make decisions, and understand what's happening around you. Dementia is something else entirely. It's a serious condition that affects the way the brain works. It can change how someone behaves, speaks, navigates their world, even how they see themselves. A person with dementia might forget who they are, not recognize family, or get lost in familiar places. And these changes don't usually happen overnight. They build slowly, over time. That's why early signs matter. The sooner we recognize them, the more options we have to help. Getting a proper diagnosis helps us understand what's really going on and how best to respond. Even with dementia, life can still have dignity, purpose, and love when there's care, support, and attention. And we should never forget, a person is still a person, even if they forget a few things. So the question is, how can we keep the brain sharp and clear for as long as possible? Caring for older adults today looks very different than it did just 20 years ago. We now have technologies that make life easier and safer. Take telemedicine, for example. You can talk to your doctor without ever leaving your house. It's a game changer, especially if you live far away or if getting to a clinic is difficult. You can show your doctor a rash on a video call, go over your lab results, and get real answers in just a few minutes. There are also devices now that remind you to take your medications and track how you're feeling. Smartwatches can monitor your blood pressure, check your heart rate, and even detect a fall. And if something does happen, the alert can go straight to your loved ones or emergency services. We even have robotic assistants that can bring you something you dropped, remind you of daily tasks, or just keep you company. That can be a lifeline for someone living alone or spending long days without much social contact. No, these innovations can't replace human warmth, but they can add a layer of support and peace of mind. The best part? These tools are being designed with older adults in mind. They're not pushy or complicated. They're built to help people stay independent. And when you feel like you can still manage things on your own, life gets a whole lot more joyful. The future isn't far off. It's already here. And it's full of new ways to help us live better, longer. So the question is, what other kinds of technology could make life even better for older adults? Every person has their own story, their own body, their own way of feeling things. And that's especially true as we age. The older we get, the more sensitive our bodies become. What works for one person might not work for someone else at all. That's why the same diagnosis can call for completely different treatments. This is what we call personalized medicine, care that's tailored to you. A good doctor doesn't just look at lab results. They ask about your lifestyle, your habits, even your mood. They consider how you sleep, what you eat, how much you move, and who you spend time with. The treatment plan isn't one size fits all. It's built around you. Two people might have the same blood pressure, but if one is out hiking every day and the other barely leaves the house, that matters. Doctors also have to think about past medical history, medication sensitivities, even personality. Sure, this kind of medicine takes more time, but the results? They're worth it. When patients feel heard and understood, not just treated, but truly cared for, they do better. It also helps us avoid over-medicating and focus on what really helps. And when someone understands why they're taking a medication or following a plan, they're much more likely to stick with it. So maybe the future of medicine isn't just high-tech. Maybe it's high-touch, personal, thoughtful, and human. Could this kind of care be the future we've been waiting for? What we eat every day doesn't just affect how we feel. It can actually influence how long we live. Food isn't just fuel. It's one of the most powerful ways we can support our health and slow down the aging process. As we get older, our bodies change and our nutrition needs to change with them. The goal? Eat in a way that feels light but nourishing. Less strain, more energy. A lot of older adults notice that after meals, they feel heavy or drowsy. That's not just aging, that's a sign your diet might need adjusting. For example, too much salt can raise blood pressure. Too much sugar? That can cloud your thinking and sap your energy. But here's the good news. Small changes can make a big difference. Warm vegetables, fresh fish, nuts, and fruits, they fuel the body and keep the mind sharp. Some eating styles, like the Mediterranean diet, have shown real promise when it comes to healthy aging. But it's not about copying someone else's plate. It's about finding what works for you. Good food isn't about strict rules. It's a daily act of self-care. It can be delicious, varied, and something you truly enjoy, not something that feels like punishment. With the right nutrition, we lower the risk of disease, and we feel better mentally and physically. So what if the simplest way to stay younger, longer, is right on your plate? Aging doesn't just affect the body, it touches the soul, too. Our emotional health is a vital part of our overall well-being. When we feel anxious, lonely, or down, it can show up physically. Sometimes, even aches and pains feel worse when our spirit is low. As we age, our social circles change. People move away. Loved ones pass on. Life can start to feel smaller. That shrinking sense of connection can lead to apathy, sleepless nights, even depression. But let's be clear, these aren't signs of weakness or just moods. These are real issues, and they deserve real care. Like the body, the mind needs support, attention, and kindness. A simple chat with a friend, a morning walk, getting back into a favorite hobby, these can all be medicine for the soul. And if you're feeling anxious, don't keep it inside. Talk to someone who'll listen. Sometimes, a therapist is the right next step, and that's not a failure. That's strength. That's self-awareness. Aging can be a time of peace, warmth, and deep inner growth if we give ourselves the chance. Reading, music, caring for grandkids, these things bring joy and build emotional strength. And when the mind feels steady, the body feels it too. Lower blood pressure, better sleep, a calmer heart. Life just feels easier. So how much longer and better could we live simply by feeling more joy, more connection, more love? Our emotions impact our health just as much as food or medicine do. When your heart feels light, your breath comes easier, you sleep deeper, and you've got more energy to face the day. A positive outlook actually boosts the immune system and lowers inflammation in the body. Even with chronic illness, a good mood can make things easier to handle. But holding on to that warmth inside isn't always easy, especially when you're feeling alone. Sometimes, all it takes is a kind word to make the day feel brighter. Emotional well-being doesn't mean you have no problems. It means you've learned how to live peacefully with them. There are simple, everyday ways to support your emotional balance. You can start your morning with a moment of gratitude, even if it's just for a warm cup of tea, a walk in the fresh air, a smile to a neighbor, or remembering a happy moment can lift your spirit. It's important to let yourself enjoy the little things and never feel ashamed of your emotions. Too often, older adults believe joy isn't for them anymore. But that's simply not true. Everyone, at any age, deserves happiness and peace of mind. And when there's joy, there's energy. Suddenly, you want to move, to connect, to create. Your mood is like sunlight. When it's there, everything feels warmer, clearer, and more alive. So what if our mindset, the way we feel, holds the key to longevity and inner strength? Every person needs to feel wanted, needed, and loved. As we grow older, our social circle can shrink, and that affects how we feel, both emotionally and physically. Loneliness isn't just sadness. It's a real threat to our health. When someone is alone for too long, their mood drops and their immune system weakens. Connection is like oxygen. It gives us strength, restores meaning, and brings color back to life. Even a short phone call can bring a sense of comfort and warmth. Family, friends, neighbors, they're like anchors that help keep us grounded. When older adults feel supported, they often become more active, more alert, more alive. Sometimes, all it takes is someone to truly listen, and suddenly, the whole world feels different. And it's not just about receiving care, it's also about giving it. Sharing wisdom, lending a hand, being part of something. Even if your social circle is small, you can still grow it through clubs, groups, or even online chats. Real conversations, shared laughter, doing things together, these are powerful antidotes to loneliness. No one should feel forgotten or useless in their later years. Every visit, every letter, every hug doesn't just brighten a moment, it can add time to your life. When we have people who truly hear us and understand us, our spirits rise, and so does our health. So really, can we even imagine growing old well without deep, warm, human connection? Age should never be a barrier to living an active, meaningful life, or to making a real difference in the world around us. Older adults can, and absolutely should, be involved in the life of their communities, whether it's a city block or a small town. They bring something irreplaceable to the table: wisdom, life experience, and strength of spirit. Some volunteer at schools. Others help out at local museums or join community organizations. What matters most isn't the specific task, it's the act of participating, connecting, and staying engaged. Many older adults take part in neighborhood projects, lead hobby groups, or mentor younger generations. In fact, they often become the keepers of tradition, the memory, the culture, the heart of a community. And when someone feels needed, something lights up inside them. They wake up excited. They want to move, to cook, to share, to smile. A society that respects and includes its elders becomes warmer, wiser, and more compassionate. Active older adults are an inspiration to the young and a steady hand for those around them. Even something as simple as attending a holiday gathering, a lecture, or a local club meeting brings a real sense of joy. Age gives you the freedom to choose how and where you want to give back, without pressure or rush. All it takes is an open door and genuine respect to let someone truly shine. Life flourishes where people feel they matter. So what other kinds of involvement could offer older adults a fresh burst of purpose and energy? Financial stability is a key part of living with peace and dignity in later life. When someone retires, their income often drops, while expenses tend to go up. There are medications, doctor visits, utility bills, groceries. It adds up quickly. Some are lucky to have help from family. Others rely on government support. But the anxiety often remains. Worrying about the future, struggling with debt, or barely getting by can take a real toll on health. No one should feel like they're facing financial hardship alone, especially after a lifetime of hard work. That's why planning ahead matters. Understanding your needs and managing expenses can bring peace of mind. A reliable pension isn't a luxury. It's a sign of respect for the people who built this society. And it's just as important to know what benefits, programs, or assistance you're entitled to. Too often, older adults don't even realize help is available to them. Financial literacy later in life isn't about wealth. It's about security. It's about feeling free, confident, and in control. And many older adults are still contributing to the economy. Some take on part-time work, start small businesses, or pass on their knowledge through teaching or mentoring. Aging doesn't just bring challenges. It opens doors to new roles and opportunities. So the real question is, can we prepare a financial safety net early so we can age with less stress and more joy? The way we treat older adults isn't shaped only by families. It's influenced by the society we live in. Laws, cultural norms, everyday habits, and the images we see in the media, they all shape how we view aging. If the only time we see older people on TV is when they're sick or frail, it sends a message. If every ad glorifies youth, then aging starts to feel like something to fear or worse, something to hide. But in cultures where elders are respected, aging is seen through a different lens. In many countries, there are real support systems, free medications, community classes, lifelong learning programs. These efforts don't just make life longer, they make it richer and more fulfilling. When someone has opportunities to grow, to connect, to keep learning, they feel alive. In some cultures, elders are placed at the heart of the family as carriers of wisdom. They help guide decisions, teach the younger generations, and pass down traditions. Good policies and genuine respect create a sense of safety, purpose, and belonging. And when a society truly cares, you feel it. Not in what people say, but in what they do. Everyone wants to feel seen, valued, and appreciated. Age shouldn't push someone to the sidelines. It should be a reason to honor their contributions and invite them into the future. The more kindly a society treats its elders, the wiser and more human it becomes. So, can true community support transform old age from a time of waiting into a time of growth? Getting older doesn't mean losing your identity. You're still a person, with your own voice, your own rights, your own feelings. But too often, older adults are left out of decisions, especially in hospitals or care facilities. Family members or doctors may make choices for them, without ever asking what they want. And sure, that's sometimes done with good intentions, trying to do what's best. But real respect starts with giving someone the right to choose, even when the choices are tough. Everyone deserves to be part of the conversation about their own health and care. Yet sometimes, older adults aren't told the full truth about a diagnosis or treatment. People assume they won't understand, or that the truth will upset them. But that's not fair. And it's not honest. No matter their age, people deserve clear information, kindness, and the dignity of being included. There's also a real challenge in balancing safety with independence. Should you lock the door if someone's forgetful but still wants to go outside for a walk? Where's the line between protection and restriction? How do we help without taking away freedom? And then there are those deeply human questions, like when to stop treatment that's no longer helping. These aren't just medical decisions. They're ethical ones. And they require not just knowledge, but compassion. Geriatric care isn't only about medicine. It's about humanity. So how do we make the right choices while still honoring a person's dignity? For older adults, family isn't just about blood ties. It's a source of strength, comfort, and peace of mind. Even a short phone call from a son or a quick visit from a grandchild can completely change the course of a day. When someone feels truly needed by their loved ones, they carry themselves differently. Life feels fuller. Sometimes, the most healing thing isn't medication. It's simply being present and willing to listen. Many older people are afraid of being a burden, so they stay quiet about what they're going through. But when there's someone nearby who really listens with care, those fears start to fade. One of my patients lost her husband and became withdrawn. She barely spoke at all. But then her granddaughter began visiting every Saturday, just for tea and stories about school. Within a month, that quiet woman started smiling again, even joking. That's how powerful a little attention can be. That's not just support, that's healing. Family can help with doctor's appointments, medication reminders, grocery runs. But above all, family offers warmth, connection, and acceptance. And when family's far away, neighbors and friends can step into that role too. No one wants to feel forgotten or alone. But when someone's surrounded by love and care, they feel grounded, purposeful, and whole. And really, what could matter more to an older person than feeling loved and needed? In many parts of the world, new programs are already making life better for older adults. These efforts go beyond medicine. They care for the heart, the mind, and the human spirit. In one Scandinavian country, seniors are matched with companions, people who aren't doctors, just friendly faces to chat with, take a walk, or lend a hand around the house. In Japan, they've created robots that can hold a conversation or play a game of chess. That kind of connection can ease loneliness and lift a person's mood. In Canada, there's a project where college students and older adults live together. The students help out with daily tasks, and in return, they gain life lessons and genuine warmth from their elder roommates. And in one village in France, they built an entire neighborhood designed just for people living with dementia. Instead of hospital hallways, there are cozy cafes, park benches, soft music, and natural light. These programs remind us, aging doesn't have to be about suffering. It can be about entering a whole new chapter. When people live in an atmosphere of kindness and attention, their health often improves naturally. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just have to take what's already working and adapt it to our own communities. So which of these ideas could take root in your town or neighborhood? There was a time when being a doctor meant making a diagnosis, writing a prescription, and moving on. Quick, direct, no small talk. But that approach doesn't work with older adults. It takes something entirely different. A geriatrician isn't just a doctor. They're a thoughtful listener and a gentle guide. Their job isn't only to treat, but to truly hear their patients, to explain things clearly, and to offer reassurance. Thankfully, more and more healthcare providers today are learning to be not just precise, but compassionate. This newer model of care takes more time. It takes heart, and it's built on trust. It's not just about easing pain. It's about protecting dignity, preserving joy, and honoring life itself. A good doctor asks, "How are you feeling?" and then stops to listen. They care about more than lab results. They ask what's really on the patient's mind. If someone isn't sleeping well, that matters just as much as their blood pressure reading. And more often now, doctors work as part of a team, alongside psychologists, social workers, and nutritionists. Because when you treat the whole person, not just the symptoms, the outcomes are better. When patients feel supported, they're more likely to follow treatment plans and heal faster. The doctor becomes a partner, not a judge. And together, they find a way forward. Old age isn't an illness, and it deserves care that's rooted in patience and respect. So how can we teach more doctors to connect with people, not just paperwork? You can't treat aging the way you treat a cold. There's no one pill for every symptom. This journey is about more than medicine. It's about preserving peace, purpose, and the feeling of being alive. But too often, The system still focuses on symptoms instead of the whole person. Pain? Here's a painkiller. Anxiety? Here's a sedative. And in doing that, we risk missing the bigger picture, the why behind the symptoms, the story behind the pain. We need a different model. One where the doctor doesn't just see a diagnosis, but a human life. One step? Train more healthcare professionals in geriatrics, not just general medicine. Teach them how the body changes with age and how those changes affect everything. Another step? Give doctors more time with each patient. Enough time to listen, not just write. We also need to connect doctors with counselors, social workers, and homemates. That kind of teamwork leads to fewer mistakes and much better care. We need real support systems, in-home services, phone lines for help, mobile care teams. There shouldn't be barriers, just open access, warmth, and simplicity. If we make our healthcare system more flexible and more human, everyone benefits. Older adults feel valued. Doctors feel like they're making a real difference. Reform doesn't always mean high costs. Sometimes, it just takes a change in perspective. So the question is, can we build a kind of medicine that meets old age not with pity, but with deep respect? Today, technology is stepping in to support older adults, and it's doing so with heart. All around the world, new projects are giving seniors a renewed sense of freedom. Take mobile apps, for example, that remind you when it's time to take your medications. No more missed pills, no more guessing, just confidence and peace of mind. There are also devices that track your sleep, heart rate, and blood pressure in real time. If something goes off track, a message is sent right to your doctor or your loved ones. Some startups now make it easy to find a home aide or medical specialist in just minutes. It's fast, safe, and takes a huge burden off your shoulders. In Germany, there are online clubs just for seniors, where people gather for lectures, games, and conversations. It's a lifeline, especially for those who live alone, and it helps people stay connected and curious about life. In Singapore, they're testing smart homes that monitor safety automatically. If someone falls or hasn't moved for a while, the system sends an alert. But the real heart of these innovations isn't the technology, it's the care built into every detail. These tools are an extension of the hands and hearts of the people who care, and they're bringing back something many thought they'd lost: confidence, and even a second wind. So could ideas like these become the norm everywhere, giving older adults a whole new kind of freedom? Aging doesn't start in one day. It's a journey shaped over many years. That's why it's so important not to wait for problems, but to pay attention to the small signs early on. When we start caring for ourselves before there's a crisis, we set the stage for long-term health. Most illnesses don't start with a bang. They whisper. Fatigue, forgetfulness, poor sleep. Too often, we brush these off and think, it's just age. But those quiet signs? That's our chance to step in and make a change. Simple checkups, eyes, hearing, blood pressure, memory can prevent serious problems down the road. And little things matter. A daily walk, nutritious meals, a good night's sleep. That's prevention too. If your joints start to stiffen, don't wait. See a doctor. Do some gentle movement. If your appetite drops, don't ignore it. Talk to someone about it. Prevention isn't about fear or control. It's about caring for yourself, calmly and kindly. It gives you that quiet confidence. I'm not waiting for trouble. I'm taking care of myself now. And the earlier you start, the smoother your path into older age will be. It's more powerful than any pill, especially when done with love. Paying attention to your needs isn't selfish. It's wisdom. So maybe the most powerful medicine against aging is simply learning to care for yourself every single day. A long life isn't just about good genes. It's about how we live day after day. Simple habits can have a bigger impact on our health than we often realize. Having a steady daily routine helps both the body and the mind feel calm and balanced. Going to bed and waking up at the same time each day? It does wonders for mental clarity. Sleep isn't a sign of weakness. It's one of the most powerful tools for healing and longevity. It clears the brain, strengthens memory, and helps ease anxiety. Other keys? Eating in moderation, breathing fresh air, and moving gently, without overdoing it. Even 15 minutes of light morning movement can give you energy that lasts all day. It's also good to get some sunshine, stay socially connected, and do things that make you smile. Healthy habits aren't about restriction. They're about caring for yourself with love and attention. Sometimes, all it takes is one small change to feel a big difference. Like putting your phone away at night and going to bed a little earlier. Or starting your day with a smile, even on the tough ones. These tiny actions build a steady rhythm, and that rhythm creates peace. Age doesn't close the door on change. It opens the door to listening to yourself more closely. So what small step could you take today to make tomorrow a little lighter, a little brighter? Movement is life. And the older we get, the more important it becomes to keep moving. Physical activity strengthens the heart, keeps joints flexible, and helps maintain a clear, focused mind. When the body moves, oxygen flows, and everything works better. Even the simplest stretch or light walk can lift your energy and your mood. You don't need to be an athlete. What matters is moving regularly. A stroll through the park, stretching in the living room, dancing to your favorite song, they all count. Just 10 minutes a day can leave you feeling more alive. Balance exercises are especially helpful. They reduce the risk of falling. And movement helps with sleep, reduces anxiety, and boosts confidence. The key? Make it enjoyable, not exhausting. If it feels hard, start small. Add a little more over time. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. Just keep going, your own way. Even the gentlest activity earns your body's gratitude. Soon, you'll feel more energized, and you may find yourself wanting to do even more. And no matter your physical limitations, there's always a way to move that works for you. So, how could life begin to change if you simply took one step toward movement each day? Every person has their own preferences, beliefs, and habits when it comes to health and healing. Some trust the old ways. Others rely only on the latest technologies. But maybe the best approach isn't choosing one or the other, but bringing both together. Traditional medicine has stood the test of time. It offers steady, reliable results. Modern tools bring precision, convenience, and new ways to understand what's going on inside the body. A cup of herbal tea might help calm the nerves, while today's medications ease inflammation. Old techniques like massage and breathing exercises can beautifully complement modern treatment plans. And when used side by side, they offer the body double the support. A doctor might prescribe medication and also suggest yoga, meditation, or gentle movement. This kind of care respects the whole person, body, mind, and lived experience. That balance becomes especially important as we grow older, when softness, understanding, and thoughtful adjustments matter most. There's wisdom in not rejecting one side in favor of the other. Harmony is where true healing begins. When people feel that their care fits them, they respond better. They trust more. They heal more deeply. A blended approach, one that honors choice, is the one people believe in. And maybe it's in the meeting of old and new that we find the most caring, effective way forward. So the question is, could this kind of integration become the new normal in every clinic and in every home? Medical theory matters, but without practice, it stays trapped on the page. Real care begins when knowledge turns into real action, gentle, thoughtful, human action. I remember an 82-year-old woman who came to see me, struggling with chronic pain and deep loneliness. Instead of writing out a long list of prescriptions, we created a gentle plan together: better nutrition, simple stretching, and regular visits from her grandkids. 2 months later, she was more active, smiling again, and barely mentioned the pain. Then there was the man with dementia someone others had already written off as gone. But we started small: a daily routine, calming music, and quiet, heartfelt conversation. With time, he began to recognize the nurse. One day, he even shared memories from his childhood. These aren't miracles. They're what happen when you lead with attention, patience, and kindness. Because healing isn't just about fixing what's broken. It's about seeing the person behind the symptoms. When a doctor truly listens, not just takes notes, new doors open. And it's in these clinics, in these real moments, that better systems are born. Theory teaches us what to do, but practice teaches us how to do it with heart. True medicine is built on trust, experience, and deep human connection. And sometimes, the smallest steps lead to the greatest change. So, can we turn every clinic into a place where we heal not just the body, but also the soul? Most people aren't afraid of aging because of wrinkles. They're afraid of loss, of feeling like the best parts of life are behind them, and all that's left is waiting. But that fear doesn't start in the body. It starts in the heart and in the mind. We live in a world that praises youth, speed, and appearances. So aging often gets treated like a failure, instead of what it truly is, a natural, meaningful stage of life. We start to fear becoming invisible, unnecessary, or a burden to others. But those thoughts? They're not truth. They're habits. And habits can be changed. The first step is letting go of comparisons, especially with younger people or even with our own past selves. Start seeing what you have, your wisdom, your patience, your depth. Every wrinkle tells the story of emotions felt, battles won, and moments that mattered. It helps to remind yourself, I'm still here. That means there's still so much I can do. Journaling can help, a space to write down your thoughts, your gratitude, your strength. And spending time with people who accept you without judgment can restore your confidence. If it feels heavy, reach out to a loved one, a counselor, someone who will listen. Aging isn't about losing yourself. It's about transforming. It asks us to adapt, but never to give up on life. So the real question is, can we learn to meet growing older not with fear, but with quiet, inner respect? As we grow older, our view of life begins to shift, becoming quieter, deeper, wiser. Things that once felt urgent or important begin to fade. Careers, achievements, the rush to accumulate, they step into the background. And what takes center stage? Health, peace, connection, joy in the little moments. Many older adults say, I wish I lived for myself sooner. Aging brings the chance to ask, why am I really here? How do I want to live now? It invites us to slow down, to seek honesty, warmth, and authenticity. Maybe it means saying no to the rush and yes to a quiet morning tea with someone you love. Maybe it means picking up a paintbrush, singing again, writing letters, just because your heart says so. Some find comfort in reading the Bible, revisiting childhood dreams, or simply sitting with music that speaks to the soul. Every moment becomes more precious because we're no longer chasing. We're feeling. This is a time of reflection. Why do I get out of bed? Who do I long to embrace? What truly matters to me now? Life starts to taste sweeter when it's full of meaning, not just full of motion. This new set of values brings freedom, the kind that lets you be fully yourself, without apology or pretense. So what are the values that can carry us through aging with warmth, joy, and a sense of purpose? As we grow older, we often find ourselves turning inward, thinking less about the surface of life and more about the soul. Many begin searching for peace, meaning, faith, trying to understand what each day has truly been about. Spirituality doesn't have to mean religion. It can be found in stillness, in presence, in a quiet connection to ourselves and the world around us. Some pray. Some read sacred texts. Others simply sit in the garden and listen to the birds. Meditation helps us slow down, breathe deeply, and feel grounded in the here and now. And in those quiet moments, worries seem to fade, and the heart fills with warmth and calm. Even just a few minutes of silence each day can shift our mood and our state of mind. Older age is the perfect time to be alone with ourselves, without pressure, without rush. For many, this is when they feel closest to God, to nature, to the universe. That connection helps soften fear, ease resentment, and accept life just as it is. And often, that kind of inner peace gives more strength than any medicine ever could. Harmony within boosts our immune system, improves sleep, lifts the spirit. When we feel at peace, the future becomes less frightening and the present becomes more precious. Spirituality is like a quiet light that helps us keep walking, even through the fog. Each of us can find our own source of strength in prayer, in gratitude, in nature, or in a kind word. So how do we discover that inner light and keep it shining for the years to come? Today, many respected doctors and scientists are rethinking the way we approach aging. They're saying, aging isn't a problem to fix. It's a stage of life that deserves thoughtful, compassionate care. One world-renowned geriatrician put it simply, we must treat not just the disease, but the soul. He reminds us that older adults don't need pity. They need presence, respect. Another expert says our real goal should be to preserve independence and a sense of purpose. In his experience, when people feel in control of their own lives, they stay healthier, longer. A leading psychiatrist warns that loneliness is more dangerous than many chronic diseases. So real care has to start with a simple question. How are you feeling today? Many experts now call for a stronger link between medical care and social support. They argue that older adults shouldn't be shuffled between clinics, but cared for in one welcoming place. Some advocate for team-based care, where doctors, psychologists, social workers, and family members all work together. And where that's happening, the results speak for themselves. Patients recover faster. They smile more. They feel seen, valued, and involved. When experts share their vision, they bring hope. Real hope for change. And that knowledge helps all of us see aging not as decline, but as something deeply human. So the real question is, how can we put that wisdom to work and truly change the way we care for our elders? The most powerful way to change how we see aging is through real stories, stories of real people. One day, a man came to see me. He was 79 and felt forgotten. He told me, "My life is over." So we started small, daily walks, warm conversations, and jotting down his thoughts in a notebook. A couple of months later, he was writing poetry. Soon, he was reading those poems aloud at the local library. Today, he has a circle of friends and shares his life experiences with joy and pride. Then there's the woman who began oil painting at age 85. As a child, she was never allowed to. But in her words, "Now, I can." Her paintings were featured in a local gallery. And for the first time in decades, she felt inspired. I know a woman who relearned how to hold a spoon after a stroke. Her determination and self-belief brought her back to her beloved kitchen. Now she cooks for her grandchildren again and smiles as she sets down their plates. These people aren't young, but their spirit, their energy, their love for life is undeniable. They don't fear their age because they've found meaning in it. And all of us? We can walk the same path from fear to inspiration. It starts with one thing, believing that change is always possible. So maybe stories like these aren't just stories. Maybe they're the beginning of something new for all of us. Caring for an aging loved one isn't just about medications and errands. It's about presence, warmth, everyday connection. Sometimes, older adults stay silent about their pain or fears because they don't want to worry the family. But if we're truly present, with an open heart, we can hear even the silence. Start small. Just ask, "How are you today?" And really listen to the answer. Don't rush. Don't interrupt. Don't offer solutions unless they're asked for. Sometimes, what a grandmother needs isn't a fix. It's simply to be heard. And if you can, do something together. Cook a meal. Take a walk. Watch a movie. What older adults want most isn't to feel managed, but to feel needed. One young woman I know baked a pie with her grandmother every Saturday. She said those quiet afternoons were when she felt most connected and at peace. Another family planted flowers by the building with their grandfather. Now he cares for them every morning, proudly. These small acts, they build strength deeper than any medicine. It's also important to give older adults choices, even in simple things. Because when someone has a say, they feel respected. And when they feel respected, they feel confident. So maybe the real question is this. What words, what actions can turn aging from a burden into a time of warmth, dignity, and care? Older adults don't just need their families. They also need the support of the broader community. That's where local organizations and social services play a vital role. They can help with groceries, doctor visits, or simply offer a comforting presence. This kind of help matters deeply, especially when family lives far away or is busy with their own lives. Some services offer rides to clinics or pharmacies, making care more accessible. In some cities, volunteers visit older adults who live alone, just to talk, share a cup of tea, and bring a little warmth into the room. There are community clubs where seniors can create, connect, and share stories. And those spaces? They bring purpose back into the day and confidence into the heart. Community meals, helplines, support groups, these aren't little things. They're lifelines. Thanks to these programs, people feel seen. They feel they still matter. I know of a city library that started teaching seniors how to use smartphones. Now grandmothers and grandfathers are happily texting their grandkids. When social services are delivered with heart, they don't just meet needs, they change lives. That's how we build a society where aging isn't isolation, but connection. Not the end of usefulness, but a new chapter of belonging. So how do we make sure every neighborhood has this kind of support, close by and open to all? The future of medicine is already beginning to shift, and those changes are full of promise. More and more, doctors are learning not just to treat, but to truly understand the person in front of them. New technologies are emerging that make care more precise, more personal, and more convenient. We'll soon be able to spot health risks early, before they become bigger problems. People will be able to monitor their health from home, without endless trips to the clinic. Care teams will grow, bringing together doctors, psychologists, and social workers. This means treatment won't just address the illness, it'll care for the whole person. Older adults will feel not just treated, but truly heard. Care will become more flexible, designed around individuals, not standardized for everyone. And the process will become simpler, less paperwork, more face-to-face conversation, and clear, human explanations. We'll see new training programs for medical professionals with a focus on compassion, communication, and respect. Even now, we see how a kind word from a doctor can be as healing as a prescription. Technology won't replace people, but it will help bring care closer, faster, and with more precision. The future of medicine is a blend of knowledge, heart, and innovation. And most importantly, it won't be built around diseases. It'll be built around people. So let me ask you, what would your ideal version of elder care look like? A care system where aging means being cared for, not being afraid? Technology is becoming a kind and steady helper for older adults. No, it doesn't replace human care, but it does make support easier, more reliable, and more comforting. Today, there are smartwatches and wearable bands that monitor heart rate and blood pressure. If something's off, they immediately alert a doctor or a loved one. That simple connection gives peace of mind, especially for someone living alone. Telemedicine is also growing fast. You can now speak with a doctor over video from the comfort of home. No long trips, no waiting rooms, no asking for a ride. All you need is a smartphone or tablet and a few minutes of your time. That's a game changer, especially for those with limited strength or mobility. There are also apps that remind you when to take your medications and keep track of how you're feeling. And that's especially helpful when managing multiple prescriptions can get confusing. Technology can even help with loneliness through chats, games, or online classes. Many older adults are learning how to use the internet and discovering a whole new world. The key is keeping it simple, intuitive, and free of fear. Because when technology makes life feel calmer, safer, and more connected, that's already a powerful kind of care. So the question is, can these smart tools bring even more freedom and joy into the lives of older adults? Art isn't just beauty, it's a real source of strength and healing, especially for older adults who need care not just for the body, but for the soul. Music can bring back warm memories and brighten even the most ordinary day. It soothes the mind, lifts the spirit, and even helps ease anxiety and sleeplessness. Painting, poetry, sculpting, these aren't just hobbies. They sharpen the memory, stir the imagination, and bring emotional balance. When someone paints or sings, they feel alive. They feel needed. I've seen it again and again. Grandparents who start creating come back to life before your eyes. There's a sense of purpose, of excitement, of joy in every day. One woman I know began writing fairy tales for her grandchildren after losing her husband. Now, her stories are read at the local preschool, and she smiles again. In elder care homes that offer art classes, residents laugh more, move more, and share their work with pride. Art therapy isn't just a pastime, it's a way to speak when words won't come. Through a paintbrush or a melody, a person can express what lives deep inside. Medicine heals the body, but art? It awakens the heart. So maybe a song, a painting, or a simple story can become the most powerful medicine of all for the soul. For a long time, old age was seen as weakness, as an ending, or a loss of purpose. Society painted older adults as tired, frail, and alone. These images showed up in movies, in ads, even in everyday conversations. But that's beginning to change, and it's changing for the better. More and more, people are starting to see aging not as decline, but as a deeper kind of maturity. Today, you'll see grandmothers dancing on stage and grandfathers exploring the internet. Young people are listening more, really listening to the stories and wisdom of their elders. TV shows now feature older characters with vibrant, active lives. And social media is full of older adults traveling, learning, starting businesses. These images don't just inspire, they redefine what aging can look like. Stereotypes fall apart when we see real, warm, joyful lives in motion. Every older adult who lives with curiosity and joy helps shift the narrative. More families are talking about aging with respect, not with pity. And more young people are beginning to look at aging not with fear, but with hope. We're starting to build a culture where every stage of life is honored and lived with dignity. So maybe the real question is, can we fully shift the world's view of aging from fear to inspiration? The generations to come will grow old in ways we can barely imagine today. Old age won't be an ending. It'll simply be a new chapter of active, meaningful living. People will live longer, feel better, and experience more joy. Thanks to medicine, technology, and a shift in mindset, age will no longer be a limitation. At 70, people will be learning new skills. At 80, they'll be traveling. At 90, sharing their knowledge online. Young people will learn, early on, how to care for their bodies and minds, and aging will feel lighter. We'll build cities where everything is designed with older adults in mind. Transportation, parks, clinics, culture. Work and leisure will adapt to people, not restrict them. There will be more programs where older generations pass down wisdom and feel truly valued. Respect for elders won't come from obligation. It'll come from genuine appreciation. Schools will start teaching children how to age with courage and grace. That will create a society that's more caring, not just for seniors, but for everyone. People will plan for old age with curiosity, not dread. It'll be a time of freedom, creativity, new connections, and peaceful self-acceptance. And we're shaping that future right now through how we speak, how we think, and how we care. So the question we all must ask is, what can we do today to make aging truly joyful tomorrow? This book reminds us, aging isn't the end. It's a continuation, full of meaning, discovery, and depth. Growing older can be lived with dignity, joy, and confidence, not fear. The key is changing how we see age, recognizing its value, its wisdom, and its possibilities. Every person deserves care, attention, and the right to be truly heard. Medicine should be thoughtful, not rushed. Compassionate, not cold. Because real care means treating the whole person, not just the symptoms, but the body and the soul. Older adults don't need pity. They need respect. Not silent care, but active engagement. And so much depends on the basics. Good food, gentle movement, warm connection, emotional balance. Let's not forget creativity, spirituality, freedom of choice, and the joy of still being useful. These simple things don't just help us survive, they help us live. We've seen how technology, art, and human kindness can create something close to a miracle. Families, doctors, neighbors, communities, we all play a part in building a world where growing old isn't frightening. This book invites us to stop fearing age and start embracing it with love and clarity. And above all, don't wait for things to go wrong. Start living better today. Each of us can shift our mindset and pass that wisdom forward. So what's the first step you're ready to take to make your later years bright and full of life? When I first read this book, it felt like it was speaking straight from one heart to another. To me, elderhood isn't just a word. It's a new way of seeing age as strength, not weakness. I realized aging isn't about endings. It's a chance to finally start living for what truly matters. We gain time for silence, for connection, for meaning, for ourselves. I often tell my patients, growing older isn't a loss of strength, it's the arrival of wisdom. But to feel that, we have to change the way we look at age, starting with ourselves. Don't be afraid to grow older. What's worse is living life afraid to feel joy. Start small. Be grateful, move your body, connect with others, dream again. And don't listen to those who say, at your age, it's too late. Too late is when you stop believing in the life you still have. Let every day be a discovery, not a repetition, no matter your age. If you're supporting someone older, be close. Listen, hug, say something kind. And if you're the one growing older, please remember, you matter. You are loved. You are enough, just as you are. Let that truth guide you, every day with a clear mind and an open heart. If this conversation helped you in any way, I'd be so grateful if you'd like this video and subscribe to the channel. Take care of yourself, believe in yourself, and never forget, the brightest chapters may still be ahead. See you in the next episode.